Hello everyone, and welcome to this video as part of the Python for Engineers series. Today we're going to be talking about the dictionary type. However, before we begin, let me remind you that I've had a few videos on YouTube, and some of the concepts in those videos are related to this video, especially the Intro to Python lists and the tuple videos. So I'll leave a link in the description below, and also please feel free to check out the Jupyter notebooks on GitHub for those videos as well. I'll also leave a link in the description below for this Jupyter notebook so you can get it and follow along for this video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what a Python dictionary is, how we can create a dictionary, and how we can access and modify dictionary items. Then we'll talk about some useful operations on dictionaries. So what is a Python dictionary? A Python dictionary is really a set of key value pairs where each key is unique. And you can define it by using braces like these, and the key value pairs are separated by a colon. Here's a rough example. So curly braces open, key 0, value 0, and comma, key 1, value 1. So that means this is a dictionary of two items with key 0 and value 0 as the first item, key 1, value 1 as the second item. Now, unlike lists and tuples, who are indexed by a range of numbers, dictionaries are indexed by their keys. That's why they have to be unique and they have to be immutable. So let's go ahead and make our first dictionary. So this is my first dictionary, and I'm going to give it the key foo with the value 123, the key bar with the value 321, and then I'm going to give it 0 as a key and give it a value of 0. Oops, keep making that typo. So this is my first dictionary. Now you can see the keys don't need to be strings. They can be strings, they can be integers, they can also be floats. They have to be anything that is immutable, and they all have to be unique. And I have three items here: foo 123, bar 321, and 0 as a string. So let's talk about creating a dictionary that is empty. So what if I wanted to create a dictionary that's empty and then fill it with values later? You can do that by just defining the curly braces like this, and that's it. That's an empty dictionary. We can also make a dictionary with one item. If I say one item, oops, it'll have a value of 1. A little boring, but you get the idea. And also, what if I want to create a dictionary that is using the dict constructor? Now, don't worry about what the concept of a constructor is. Just think of this dict word or functionality as a functionality of Python that allows me to pass a list of tuples, and it will interpret those tuples as keys and values. So this first tuple will be my first key, and it has a value of 1.2. And then we have key 2, has a value of 3.1. And then we have 1.2 has a value of 1.2. And that's got to be a comma. So you can see here, this is a little different. What we're doing is we're creating a list of tuples, and these tuples all have a key and a value. Now, the dict functionality here is smart enough to interpret this as a dictionary with these keys and values. So if I run this, I get an error, and that's because I made a syntax error here. This has to be a comma, not a colon, like the old definition. And you can see here that I'm able to create a dictionary that has my first key as 1.2, key 2 has a value of 3.1, and key 1.2 has a value of 1.2. So these are some of the ways that you can create a dictionary. Now let me stop here for a second and talk about keys. Keys in a dictionary are very important, obviously, because everything is indexed by them. They have to be immutable, and they have to be unique. So tuples can be used as keys because tuples are immutable types, but they have to contain only immutable types. So they have to contain strings and numbers, or tuples. They can't contain anything that's mutable. You can't have a list as a key or a tuple of a list as a key, because a list is an immutable type, which means it can change, and you can't have that in a dictionary. So let's look at some examples here that I've written out, which are basically a tuple of numbers, or tuple to numbers. It's a dictionary that maps the tuples to numbers. So we have this tuple 1.2 and gives me a value of 0.1. Tuple 2.2 gives me a value of 0.3, and you can see that dictionary here. Now this is nice because from an engineering standpoint, you can think of this as maybe a way to store elements of a sparse matrix. Say you had this really large matrix and you had a lot of zeros in it, a lot of sparse elements that were non-zero. So you wouldn't care about the zero ones. You would only care about the non-zero elements. So you can store them in a dictionary. You would store a lot less numbers, and you can have their keys be the indices of those elements in the matrix, and you can use tuples for that, which is a great use case. Another way of doing this is you have this name and age tuple, for example, and a grade for someone. So say Jim, who's 32, that's their key, has a grade of 10, which is their value. Barbara, who is 29, that's her key, and she has a grade of 11. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that you can use tuples for keys, but remember, the keys have to be unique and immutable. So let's talk about a more, engineering, maybe more practical example. Say you had a fleet of robots, and these robots all have to send you a message that contains status about them, like their robot ID, the battery life, the time since they were last rebooted, and the last 2 seconds of speed. Right? So this could be a real world scenario where you want to send out messages like this. So if you were using Python, instead of storing this in some kind of a list or some kind of a tuple and having to decode which element is which, you can make a nice dictionary. And you can have the keys as the fields that you want to fill out, and then the robot can fill out the values. For example, the ID here, this robot ID is 321, and this robot's battery percentage is 99.1, and this robot's time since last reboot in seconds is 550, and this robot's last 2 seconds of speed in meters per second. Let's say we're going to do this as a list. So a list of tuples, say at time, 0, let's say time 0, I had a speed of 0.5. And then at time, let me just copy this. Oops. At time 1, I have a speed of 1.5. And then at time 2 seconds, I had a speed of 1.5. So this is a message that gets filled out by the robot and then gets somehow serialized and put over comms and sent. And you receive it, you know that it has certain fields that you can look into. And these fields are now easy to read and easy to look at. So this is a nice example of how you can use dictionaries. Another example could be if you had a database and you had columns in a database of certain values and then rows of these values or something like that. You can use a dictionary to store things that look like a database and move them around and do things with them. So let's talk about accessing values inside a dictionary. So I have this dictionary that's been already filled out. Let's say I want to access the X element. All I have to do is use these square braces to access, and say I want to access the index that has a key X. And this allows me to get the value for X and in this dictionary. And let's say I want to get the value for Y and for Z. And we can see up here, the predefined dictionary has 1.2 for X, 3.3 for Y, and 33.1 for Z. Now if I print and I see that, the variable X that I said, access with this square bracket and the key X got the 1.2, that's correct. Same thing for Y, 3.3, that's correct. And same thing for Z, 3.3. So that's how you access items or values inside of a dictionary. You need to know the key for it. Now, what if I want to modify something? So say this is my dictionary, and I want to modify the Y value. So I would just say, this key Y, now I'm accessing that value. I just do the assignment to it. And I say I want it to be 4.5. So if I print that, you can see here the difference between Y was 3.3 originally, and now it's 4.5. Okay, so what about deleting an item? Say there's an item in the dictionary I don't really want anymore. Well, there's a reserved word in Python, del, or delete, and that Python knows that, this means that you want me to delete something, And if I just tell it, okay, I need you to delete my X value, an item, it's gone. Here I'm printing the original one. You see X is inside of this dictionary, and this new dictionary now does not have X in it. This is a pretty useful thing when you want to get rid of items. What if I want to add a new item? So to add a new item, it is really very simple. It's the same syntax as reading a value. You just say, okay, I want to add item W and give it a value of W. That's it. Now you can see that my dictionary has a key of lowercase w and a value of uppercase W. So it's pretty simple to add values, delete values, and read values from a dictionary. Let's talk about some useful operations on dictionaries. Say I have this new dictionary, and say I want to get all the keys in this dictionary. For some reason, I don't know or I don't remember the keys, and I want all of them. Well, there's a really nice functionality that is built into the dictionary type. You just tell it .keys. And it prints out all the keys for you. That's very convenient. There's also another functionality to get all the items from inside the dictionary. So this is new dictionary, and it's just conveniently called items. And I get all the items. These are all the keys and values that are stored inside the dictionary. And these are very useful, and in later videos we'll see how we can leverage those operations to do things in dictionaries that are pretty cool. Now what if I want to check if a key exists inside a dictionary? Well, we can use the in keyword, which we've used for tuples and for lists, and we can say, is this tuple, which is a key, is this an existing key in my dictionary? And Python says, yes, true, that does exist. So, but you might ask, why do I want to check if the key exists or not? And here's why. Say you want to get new dictionary, and I want to see, okay, give me the value for the key hello. And I run that, you get a key error. And it says key error hello, I don't know this hello. So this key error tells you that this key doesn't really exist. You don't want your program to crash, or you don't want to have any errors. So one thing you could do is, okay, instead of doing that, I can say, hello in new dictionary. It's going to tell me no, it's not. So then there's no need for me to check if there's no need for me to access that key and get its value because it doesn't really exist. What about adding multiple values to a dictionary? And that's something you might want to do. And actually, it's something that in the real world you do pretty often. You can do that by passing a dictionary to the update functionality that's already defined in your dictionary. And this is really nice because you pass in a dictionary and it becomes a sub-dictionary inside your dictionary. So it's a little complicated when I say it. I don't know why it sounded complicated, but it's actually very simple. So let's go ahead and add this hello, right? Hello that didn't exist before. I can add it and give it a value of 1.5. I can also add index 22, key 22 and give it a value of 22 as a string. Now I'm adding 2, not 1. I can add as many as I want, but I'm adding 2 new key value pairs to my dictionary at once in one command. It's very nice. One line, one command, and you can pass in a dictionary to this update function, and it'll take all the items inside the dictionary and incorporate it into your dictionary. And that's it for our video today. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful, and I hope that you now understand a little bit about what a Python dictionary is. If you liked the video, think about subscribing to the channel. If you didn't like it, think about leaving me a comment in the comment section below and let me know what videos you'd like to see. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much.